And we are live on LinkedIn, we're live on TikTok, we are live on YouTube, and we are live on Twitch as well. Oh. Hi everyone, Donny here with the Innovation Fika. As you know, every Wednesday afternoon, 2:30 p.m., live from Teknikringen 1 in Stockholm, KTH Innovation, broadcasting your innovation coffee break with a cool idea, cool person, and cool discussions. Today, here on my fantastic Wednesday afternoon show with an audience room full of people. Wow, and the crowds coming in as well. Have some Christmas cake, by the way. Freshly baked by my mother. Hi, Mom, in case you're watching. Thanks for the Christmas cake. It was really good this year, one of the better ones. I'm here with Henrik, Henrik Hellbe.
Hello, Ron.
From the startup Nightli.
Yes.
And for everybody who sort of is in the in-game, batch 12, right?
10.
Back 10. You're batch 12. Yeah, you're the newbies, kind of. Kind of. Getting to the veteran stage now, but this guy is like, batch 10.
Old school.
Old school, exactly. When we used to do things with pen and paper and steam engines kind of thing. Thank you for coming up here in this very wonderfully cold day. No snow yet, but I spoke to my sister in the west coast of Sweden. They are having crazy amounts of snow. So hopefully we'll be getting snow here as well for a white Christmas. But enough about snow, enough about Christmas. Let's talk about Henrik and Nightli.
Yeah.
Let's just start by just telling everybody what is Nightli.
Right. So, hi everyone. My name is Henrik. I'm the CEO and founder of Nightli. We're essentially a social nightlife app. That's primarily here in Stockholm at the moment. And what do we do? I don't know how many of you are familiar with the traffic app Waze. Is that something you're familiar with?
Oh, yeah.
And for those of you who are not, it's essentially an app where traffic drivers that are out on the road can give each other tips on where the cops are located, where there are lines, and other essential information. Now, what does that have to do with Nightli? Well, we're essentially Waze, but for the nightlife industry. We crowdsource information from all our users that are out at night and give them each other so they can give each other live tips on what's going on throughout the night.
That's actually a very good analogy, the Waze analogy. I like that. It makes, I use Waze when driving.
Yeah, you do. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And it's the perfect app to understand, what's going on, and you can get live reporting of, there's an accident here, or there's a queue there, and things like that. So I like the analogy with that. So if I'm out and about on the town, I can see sort of what's going on, what's cool, what's not. Yeah. And you said you're in Stockholm now. How many places are you at? Sort of, how does it work? Do you contact places, or do you just contact people? How does it?
Right. So essentially, we are where our users are located, and we're primarily in Stockholm. We have about 20,000 downloads now.
Yeah.
We're, I think, 100 downloads to 20,000. But essentially, there's no real point of giving each other, or not the same, of giving each other tips if we don't have any venues on our app. Because if you find out there's a good party at a nightclub, you want to kind of go there.
Yeah.
So we also do partnerships with nightclubs, event organizers, bars, and similar, and put their position on our beautiful map, so that if a user give each other a tip, you can also get access to the venue through our app.
So how would a typical user case be? I mean, I'm a user. Am I at home, or am I downtown, or how real timey is it? Do you see it working?
Yeah, so essentially you can be, there are two types of users. There's one that's out and give each other tips, live tips, and there's the one that's sitting at home and maybe considering going out. And essentially what you do, you see that something is going on, for example, at Stureplan, and then you have a nice club logo there. You can click on it and send a request to the clubs and ask the club, hey, can I be on your guest list, or buy a ticket or similar?
Okay.
And then you essentially get access, and they invite you to come.
Okay.
And you can give.
Nobody wants to go to a club where nobody is.
True.
But how do you sort of breach that? I mean, how do you the threshold that you won't get people there until there are people there, but how do you get people there to get people there?
Yeah, true. So just like users are giving each other tips, the club is also giving others tips on what's going on at their venue. So similar to them posting a story on Instagram and just reaching maybe their loyal followers that and they counting on them looking at their story, which they do a bunch of marketing. They can instead market to all their previous customers and to essentially all on our app, since everyone views the same map simultaneously, right?
Yeah.
Not just like that you have to follow someone and look at their story. So they are essentially pulling in the guests ahead of time.
So that could also, and I'm just thinking aloud here, so maybe, but that could also sort of like create a chain of events that you go to one place and then you go to another place and then you go to a third place. And
Sure.
I guess they want you to stay in one place, but some places are later and some places are earlier, I guess. And it's kind of a...
Yeah, and it's definitely not like some guests don't use us for the reporting, the information function, and they just want to get access to a venue. And so actually our use time is like all throughout the week. We have a bunch of signups Monday, Tuesday, where people are not out at all. It's because people like to plan ahead of time.
Okay. So people do like to plan ahead of time.
Yeah, exactly. Because you need to, because the club need to answer you, right?
Yeah.
And it gets lower. I mean, you're also getting accepted to come gets lower. I mean, like the closer you are to the events.
Plan your nightlife with Nightli.
Not like me, I don't.
Well, that's why you invented the app in the first place. And just for anybody tuning in right now, as I said, this is a live broadcast from Technikringen 1 up at KTH. My name is Donny. My innovation Fika. Every Wednesday, 2:30 p.m. Follow me on LinkedIn, where you'll see all the updates and all the posts. I post almost daily as well on entrepreneurship and inspiration and startup-y kind of things. So follow me there. But I will say this is live, so ask questions. I can see we have two windows. We have the camera and we have the TikTok window there.
Oh, I can read that.
Keep sending in your comments. Ask questions. We will be able to try and at least take some questions as well as we go through the broadcast. We're only here for another 20 minutes, so stay with us. But the topic of the day is actually to talk about how to use social media as a startup, and not necessarily how do startups use it, but if I am a startup, how can I maximize my usage? Because I know that you've done a swell job using social media as a startup. But I mean, give me some starting points here. How do I, if I'm a startup and I need to start sort of getting out there, where do I start? What do I start doing? What should I,
Right. So for most of you that are doing a fresh startup, you're maybe one, maybe two founders, best case. You're not a full team, and this is certainly not the only thing you're doing, right? As a startup, you need to develop the product, you need to sell it, you need to then market it, and you're only two people, best case. So essentially, my best tips on going about it is like try to. And I know everyone wants to be on every single platform. You want to be LinkedIn, you want to do Instagram, you want to do TikTok, YouTube. You want to be everywhere to try. But and if anything, social media has created, this amazing thing where you can reach out to 100,000s of people without any money. But essentially, therefore, it's also a crowded space. Yeah. So pick one I always just pick the best platform, one platform, do it a lot, because you need to.
So pick one platform and sort of go deep there and
exactly.
and build your sort of, and when you pick the platform, do you pick it? I'm just, again, I suppose you try and figure out where are the people that I want to reach.
Yeah.
And then you pick that platform and then you work your way sort of into that platform then.
Exactly. So essentially what we did is that we looked at TikTok. Essentially became obviously our main platform, and we essentially looked at it for 1.5 years ago. And of course the audience was a bit younger then. The average audience was like 15 to 16 there, but we were counting on it being a growing and being a good fit for us, especially we are a nightlife platform. We had music, dancing. It was like, okay, great. Let's just throw everything we got on this platform and hopefully it works. Yeah. So, and then you need to find a clear niche. I mean, in a crowded space, you can't say like, hey, I'm another person, please follow me. I'm just like everyone else. Yeah. We focused on nightlife during Corona. It was essentially there's not that many people on TikTok doing nightlife during Corona when there is no nightlife. So we found our niche.
That's a that's a really good example of the old saying: if everybody else goes right, go left.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Okay, so you picked TikTok, and as you said, I mean, when you started, they were younger, but even the ones that were there 2-3 years ago, they're 2-3 years older now, so they're getting to a point where. So what did you do? I mean, did you just start? What did you actually do? What kind of content did you start publishing?
I mean, we looked at what's our mission as a startup. Our mission is to share information in the nightlife space where it's kind of difficult and a lot of people don't know what's happening and what's actual, what's real or not, and especially after 2 years of Corona when no one have been able to go out. What kind of venues are you going to? How should you how should you talk with the bouncer? Should you talk at all?
Yeah.
So we essentially just started sharing information and trying to educate new young people that come into the nightlife space. What's going on. And I mean, this can be as easy as, hi, here's 3 best tips of doing this. And like,
how to talk to a bouncer.
Yeah, exactly. We did that.
Did that?
Yeah, we actually did that.
What did you do? Here's how not to talk to a bouncer.
That's perfect. Like we shared, and then we go out and visit. We can visit nightclubs. We don't say this is the best nightclub ever. We just information. Open times it's open. What does a beer cost?
Yeah,
etc. And now we just did recently, like we took all the videos we had and just like, here's what a beer costs at every single nightclub in Stockholm essentially, and just did a collection. Cool. So it's like we're not giving an opinion on it. We're just sharing information.
Exactly. You're not favorizing or saying this and this and it, but you're just saying this is the way it is.
Yeah.
Content marketing. I mean, as in just giving people useful information about the niche or the space that you are in.
Yeah,
I think that the whole issue of content marketing is startups have probably heard of it, but I think that we utilize it too little because you can do a lot by talking about what you know and giving people more information about. And don't be afraid of I'm giving away things for free and how can I that's not how it works really, because you need. People will start to learn to trust your brand. They'll start to listen to you because you are an authority on the subject. Who do I ask with anything regarding nightlife? In Stockholm, about a nightlife. Well, I got Nightli because it's a brand you trust. So definitely. So pick a niche, go deep, build your following there. But what about the sort of? Did you? There's there's a fine line between putting out a lot of content and becoming kind of spammy. So what do you do?
First of all, like I know a lot of people out there want to like, hey, download my app. Like when you do normal marketing as well, and you can do content marketing and do that at the same time. Mm-hmm. For us, we sneaked in like when we visit a nightclub and show where it's located.
Yeah,
we always do the Nightli app and show where on the Nightli, even if you don't have it. So you can sneak in your product there as well.
Yeah. The link happens to be here on the screen here as well. It says here, it doesn't say on there, but it says on this screen. It says app.nightli.se. So that's not in
there. For those of you on TikTok, visit the profile. But essentially, my general saying is like, I know a lot of people when you do like Instagram first as a startup, similarly like do one post and like, oh, it's so beautiful, it looks great. You do one and then maybe your 10 friends, likes it, and you're like, oh, my bio is looking amazing. It's the best looking bio ever. But essentially, I would pick quantity over quality as a startup. You can do quality if you raised your first millions. I mean, you can pay for reach. Yeah. Right. I mean, and then you can do super focused on quality and just pay for the reach, and you're fine. But if you're a startup, you don't have any spending. You need to focus on quantity. You need to throw it out there. And I mean, sure, it can become spammy, but not if you're kind of selective with what you're posting. If it's informative, it won't necessarily become super spammy. And I think that even if it's low quality and it's weird angle and you're talking, I mean, it still shows authenticity, and it's appreciated that people think that you're honest about what you're doing.
I think that's one of the refreshing sides of social media is that you can be authentic without having, you know, the full studio setup.
Yeah,
I mean, we're standing in the
okay.
basement kitchen here at KTH Innovation doing this broadcast. Very authentic, I can tell you that. We're actually in the kitchen. Everything happens in the kitchen at parties, right? No, but I was going to say, when it comes to the whole quality and quantity thing, I mean, I know that you also say, you know, go for quality over quantity if you can afford it.
Yeah.
But going back to the startup thing, quantity. And one thing, and that's me personally, then, I mean, feel free to comment if I'm right or wrong, but I don't mind quantity as long as, what I don't like is when I see the same post being reposted over and over again. Then that instantly becomes sort of spammy for me. When people say, I know, because this has happened to me in LinkedIn, when people say, well, you know, there are so many different time zones, and if you want to reach people on LinkedIn, you should post the same post 5 times per day. You know,
I know what you mean.
I'm going sort of, I know, I don't, that's not.
I think it's the same with all kind of marketing. The same way that you get the email, and you get these email marketing campaigns from e-commerce companies, and you get the same freaking email all over, except like with slightly changed title. Now you have a discount again. Oh, great! Instead of changing the entire thing and like, oh, today we have a weird video thing. Like then it wouldn't feel spammy, because like, okay, what's happening here? It's like when you can guess what's on the post before even like really reviewing it, then I guess. But
there's also that, I mean, you want to see that actually something has changed and that they put some effort into creating some content that I wanted. Because as you say, I mean, if any startup that knows their subject, you can put out a small piece of that subject every day, and you can do a new piece like every day, and it will be something new every day, which will not be regarded as spammy, because it will be hopefully informative, maybe even fun. I mean, humor always works. Yeah, great. So don't be afraid of quantity as long as you make it authentic and change it. Don't put the same post 5 times per day. We don't do that. Otherwise, I'll phone you if you do that.
Don't send it to me.
But what about, you know, and another thing that I know that you talk about, and I know that we just want to touch on it. I'm looking at the timer as well, but I know that the whole sort of, how do I know if it's working? You know, how do I know if something, should I continue posting, or when should I stop? Should I change? And then this whole sort of data-driven growth kind of thing. And how do you work with sort of analyzing and looking at that?
Yeah, so of course you need to track whatever you're doing, you know, to see that it's working. But so what I'm been doing, like, of course we didn't hit the right spot immediately when we were going on TikTok, where we're trying to do we tried to do the humor thing like everyone else did in the beginning, you know, dancing and doing fun jokes, but like we don't stick out at all. And we switched completely to informative, and it went great. And essentially you don't have to overdo it and it's like, okay, I get so many likes. But for example, if you do TikTok or whatever, just see how many, views you got on each post. If you do YouTube, that's even better. They have a freaking graph that shows like, okay, here your audience dropped. Yeah. You know, like just slowly go back. I mean, all these social media tools offer great statistics on what's working and what's not. And if not, you can, you will see your following base. Just go back, look at your last 10 videos, what worked and what not, and just copy it and on it and go. Copy the concept essentially, and
don't copy the video. How about A/B testing? Have you done any of that, or have you just sort of seen what works and what doesn't? Have you actually intentionally sort of put out like 2 things and seen which one works and which not, or have you just sort of followed whatever worked and done more of that?
We essentially follow whatever worked. Sure, if you want to do A/B testing, especially, I think more like if you do A/B testing. For us, we throw so much shit on the wall, and you know, like we didn't really like, it was like 2 videos. But if I would do if I do like paid advertising, for example, I do A/B testing. I throw up 2 different videos, pay them, and see what's worked the best.
A/B testing is when you do 2 parallel different approaches and see which one works best. Usually connected to paid advertising, so we can just explain that as well. Good. I had a follow-up question on that when it came to. Super interesting comment there, because what you said was you started on TikTok and you started by doing the humor thing because that is what we all think works on TikTok. But since everybody's doing that, you don't stick out. So when you did the informational kind of thing, that suddenly stuck out, which is an interesting thing to see. Sort of, how do I manage to actually, break through the white noise of this platform?
Yeah, I guess I'm not gonna take all the credit, because like
Go
you don't.
on.
I mean, you don't have to reinvent the wheel in marketing.
Of course not.
You just we all steal from each other essentially.
Yeah.
I saw someone else doing information, just like I saw someone else do humor. I just started doing information with our own twist, our own niche on it, and that worked great.
But in that sense, I always say that internet. I mean, the reason why everything is exploded the last 20 years is that internet is actually like the biggest open research lab, because somebody puts out a result, somebody else sees that, copies that, adds to there, and they put out a new version, and then it automatically what works incredibly fast. So everybody copies that until it becomes too big, and then it sort of stops working, and then there's an outlier that tries something that works, and then everybody so it's a constant evolution. So look at the platform where you're at, and as you said, look at what works, look at what other people are doing that sticks out as well. Either try and do something similar, try that. If it doesn't work, or do something opposite and see if that works. Because as I said, if everybody's going right, go left. If everybody's going left, go right. I mean, that's the oldest innovation trick in the book.
I mean,
cool.
For all you on TikTok as well, a great example of everyone going right and you go left is the ones that do review of other people's posts. For example, like someone is posting a lot about, like, it doesn't have to be that you do a completely different thing, but you completely disagree. You take another approach to another one's content.
Yeah.
For example, someone is talking about supplements, which is super popular on TikTok, and someone else is just like, okay, but you don't need supplements at all, and just go completely off on that. Like, it's two different. Like, it doesn't have to be. You can do the same topic, just take a completely different approach. That's totally fine as well.
Yeah. Mark his words. Anyway, coming to the end of the broadcast here, let's do the official Henrik's top 3 tips. All of the guests, all of my broadcasts always share their top 3 tips of the topic. And today the topic has been working with social media as a startup. So, my dear friends online, you won't be able to see it, but we will read it to you. Henrik's top 3 tips of working with social media as a startup. Tip number 1, be selective.
Right. Be selective, like we discussed previously. Pick maybe one, maybe 2 platform. Find a clear niche. Try to narrow down as much as possible to navigate this huge ocean of social media content.
Yeah,
essentially.
Good. Start with one place, maybe 2, but start there and go deep. That's the main thing. Thank you very much. Tip number 2. Now this one says quality over quantity. If you can afford it, it should be if you can afford it.
If you can afford it.
But we're talking about quantity here. We're talking about that one, right?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. If you don't have the money to spend, and get a massive reach, you have to produce the reach. So throw out a lot of posts, and you throw out a lot of posts, you can't know what really works unless you throw out a lot of posts as well. So it has multiple benefits essentially.
But I've seen that. That's super interesting, and I think that authenticity counts for so much more than the super photoshopped beautiful picture thing. Because I see that on LinkedIn when I post almost every day on LinkedIn, so follow me there. Sometimes I can spend so much time on this beautiful post and it looks perfect, and it's sort of it completely tanks. And then I put something else out just on a whim, no thought into design or anything like that, and then it just is through the roof. So it's all about being authentic and actually speaking to the people who are there more than it. So I completely agree with you on that one.
I mean, if you want, you can compare it to programming as well. Because like we're taught when to produce a product, for example, we need to plan a lot, right? Because it takes a lot of time to do programming. You can't really have that many misses. You need to kind of know already, do the research, know already what you're going to produce, right? Because you can't afford for it to tank. on social media, you can throw up post ups like in a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
You can afford to test everything.
Yeah.
Like,
but you have to test, as you say. The only way to work with data-driven growth is to actually get things out there and get the data, and otherwise you won't know. I mean, I completely agree with you on that one as well. Last one, tip number 3: analyze and adapt, and that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the actual. That's we more or less just what we just said.
Yeah.
Put things out there. The mistake I see people doing though is that they put things out and then they just move on and they don't look back on what they've done. So they never sort of follow up and to see how things have actually gone. Yeah. And then they will never learn what has worked and what hasn't. And then they'll never be able to adapt to what they should be doing. Exactly. So don't be afraid to look at your numbers. Even small numbers in small deviations can show trends.
True. But your friend doesn't count. Friends doesn't count.
Your friends.
I mean, otherwise.
How about your mother? Is your mother
I mean, like, no, but seriously, like, if everyone, like, if you have an Instagram and you throw up a picture of yourself as the founder, of course it will. Of course it will trend. Because you have it's all your friends following in the beginning. I mean, but who do you want to use your product? What you want to read? I mean, like.
Yeah, but that goes. I mean, that's a very good point, and I'll build on that point, because thank you for saying that, because the true test of any startup product, be it a hardware or software product, is when it's tried by somebody who you don't know, who has never heard of it before, and I usually do the analogy of saying, I leave the phone on the table and I leave the room, or I leave the product on the table and I leave the room, and then we'll see what happens when somebody comes in and says, "Oh, what's this? How does this work? Oh, this looks cool," and will they use it or not? I mean, that's the true trial of your product. When somebody you don't know sees it for the first time and decides to use it, that's when things start happening. So analyze, adapt. Thank you, Henrik, for those 3 tips. Do you want to check and if there any questions or comments on
sure,
anything going on there?
What's the subject here? Okay.
It's me and Henrik Hellbe. We're just having a coffee break chat here on. We're talking about social media, using social media as a startup, and giving some easy tips and tricks for anybody that wants to start gaining a presence on social media.
Yeah,
basically. Cool. With that, it's 14:59. It's a half an hour coffee break. So I will say thank you so much to everybody watching. I will say a big warm thank you to Henrik. Thank you for coming by. Thank you for being part of the show.
Thank you for the invite.
And everybody else, have a great weekend. Happy holidays. We're heading into the holidays here. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. I know for a fact that next year will be the best 2022 ever.
True.
Yeah, true. So mark my words on that one. 2:30 p.m. every Wednesday afternoon, Innovation Fika. Follow me on LinkedIn and Twitch and YouTube for that. Bye for now, everyone. Thank you again, Henrik, and take care.
Bye-bye.